you can do things that are hard. And the more you do things that are hard, the more you can do things that are hard.
That is what it's all about. Proving it to yourself in the
Mhm.
big ways and the small ways. Welcome to another episode of Everyday Badassery. I'm your host, Christine Lozada. This is an episode of travel stories meant to inspire you to be just 1% more badass today than you were yesterday. And today's story I am excited for because it really is about our small badass moments in life that help to build the momentum and get the snowball rolling so that we, as that snowball gets big, have the courage to do the big, badass things in our lives. And I'm really excited about today's guest, someone I've actually never met in person, someone that I have been admiring over social media. Her energy radiates through the screen, quite literally. And I'm excited for you to meet her. We talk about everything from her literal jump, being authentic to herself and a place in a country known for adventure, aka New Zealand, to how her lifestyle is now as a full-time traveler who shed herself of all her belongings and now lives quite literally out of a backpack and in different countries all the time. I'm so excited for you to meet her. And don't forget, there are show notes that go along with this episode, so make sure you check them out, as well as an email list with inspiring emails. So make sure you check that out as well. But I'm so excited for you to meet Ashley.
Hello. I am Ashley Rose on the road, full name Ashley Lawson, and I am both a full-time traveler and an event business owner. And I can't untangle them because they're both part of my heart and part of my life. So I'm excited to be here.
I love that. And I was so inspired by something you recently put out on social media, which was a jump that you made, a literal jump. So take us to that moment and that place. Where were you and what were you about to do?
Oh, so I was in Queenstown, New Zealand, which is considered the capital of adventure of the world. And I was actually with the tourism board there because I was checking out New Zealand as a location for events. And there was an opportunity that they gave to everyone on this business trip that said, "Do you want to bungee jump?" This is where commercial bungee jumping was founded in 1988 by AJ Hackett. And literally, as I'm talking to you, this was 5 months ago. My hands are shaking and my heart is just beating so hard. And I am sweating thinking about this. And every time I start to think about me potentially doing this jump, like I just start sweating. So I knew this was going to happen. So I put on extra deodorant for this conversation.
Well, luckily, we're not in the same room and I
I
cannot
know.
smell you.
I
Actually,
know.
how did you feel? Not even like, how did you feel when you got the invite? Did you immediately say yes when you heard about the invite? Or were you on the fence? Like, where were you? Where was your head when you heard about the invite?
The invite to New Zealand.
The invite to go bungee
Okay.
jumping.
Okay. So I didn't know there was an invite really. There was a registration process that I went through and they asked me how much I weighed. And I was like, that's kind of rude. Like, why do you need to know
I
that?
weigh a moderate amount. What's it to you?
I know. So I called the tourism board. And I was like, "Excuse me, can you tell me a little bit more about this?" I usually, as a lifelong event leader, I don't usually try to get that invasive with people's, personal information. And she's like, "Oh, well, there's potentially maybe this opportunity that if anybody wants to go bungee jumping, you can, but they need to know your weight beforehand." And I was like, "Oh, hell no. Am I allowed to swear on this?"
Of course you are.
Okay.
Oh wow,
Like
so
little
you were
squares or like
you
bigger
were
squares?
oh I do them all. Yeah, I do
Okay,
them
okay,
all.
okay.
Um so wait, so you were actually a hell no. You were a hell no
Oh,
when you
I
read
was
about it. Ah.
absolutely a hell no. 100% a hell no. I've like my whole life I've said I would never ever bungee jump. Um I always wanted to skydive, and that's something I did do, and I hid from my mom
Hey, hold on,
until
this
I
doesn't make
landed.
sense. You don't want to bungee jump, but you're down to skydive. Why?
Yeah. Um, the idea of like just plummeting scared me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I would like break my neck. It would like just like crack going down too fast, or that like the bungee would break and I would just
So why would you be
break.
more safe jumping out of a plane significantly higher? Why were you down to do
Because
that?
you are tandem. You're with an expert.
Ah,
Your
got it.
first
Okay.
time, you're with someone unless
Yeah,
you're
you're attached to
certified.
somebody.
And
Mhm.
literally, so leading up to this, potentially bungee jumping, I was asking everybody, like, have you done this? I've done skydiving, and they're like, everybody I talked to who has gone skydiving said skydiving is way easier. It is so much
Mhm,
scarier
mhm.
to
I've heard the
do
same thing.
bungee jumping, which affirmed me because I thought the same thing as you. I was like, why am I so terrified? Why have I always been an absolute hell no? Um, so during the trip, we didn't have to make the decision until that day. And I do like doing things that step outside my boundaries. I mean, I am a full-time business owner who, builds a business out of a backpack out of different countries. I don't live this traditional life. I'm 39 years old. Like, I'm not a 20-year-old backpacker out of school. Like, I'm a grown ass adult. Like, I'm doing a lot of things,
I
living my
can
life
relate to
around the
this.
world. So they said there was this opportunity, and I was like, hell no. And then as I was thinking about it, I was like, wait a second, like, this is a really cool opportunity. And all day, every day, I consult clients on how to host events that are authentic to the destination. And
Mm,
this is where I started changing gears, because it's like
mm,
you have to live your value system. And if you don't, you're going against the grid of what you believe in. And that's what I just kept thinking. Like, my whole mission is in life is
mm,
to help make destination events authentic to the local destination and honor the culture of that destination. And that's
mhm.
like in my blood. My grandparents started our event planning company 70 years ago.
That's really
This was,
powerful, not just in business, but in life. You
mm-hmm.
have to live authentically to your values, and that's a
Yeah,
must. It's a must.
yeah,
Otherwise, you are out of sync of who you are versus how you live your life. I love
exactly.
that. I think that's really powerful. Oh,
Thank
so you're
you.
starting this mind
Yeah,
shift
yeah,
of wanting to be authentic because the destination is an adventure
yeah.
destination. Okay, so how did you change your mind in the end?
Well, I just kept saying to myself, I'm going to sign up for it. I'm going to go to the bungee center. I'm going to get in the harness. But I never said I was going to do it, because I felt like if I proclaimed I was going to do this and then I backed out last minute, I would have failed everyone I told, and I would have failed myself. And I don't like failure, but I wanted to give myself a buffer.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just kept giving many, many milestones
I
throughout the
I
whole
think
week.
that's really powerful. So you basically took something because most people will jump all the way to the I am going to jump, but instead
Mm-hmm.
you chunked it out little by little so
Mm-hmm.
that you could feel successful along the way to something that would
Yeah.
eventually be the big thing. I think that's
Yeah.
really powerful thinking in general in life.
Yeah, I think so too. I didn't even realize it, but yeah, I think that's a good way to break things apart. Those things that feel insurmountable, which this did. Like, my whole life, I've been terrified, never ever wanted to do this.
Mhm.
Um, so I got past some of those mini milestones. I got to the bungee center. They give me the waiver, and it's funny. So we had earlier that day met with Weta, and they do these special effects for The Hobbit.
Oh, neat. That's cool.
So they were showing all these special effects. So they did some on my knuckles and made it look like I had bloody knuckles. So I'm at the bungee center in a t-shirt, and it's freezing in New Zealand, but I live in warm weather clothes. I only have one backpack and a computer bag,
Mhm.
and all I have are summer clothes. So I'm in a t-shirt, freezing. I look like I've been beat up. And I'm signing this digital waiver. And not only am I freezing, I look terrible. I'm terrified. And Charlie at the front desk is just like, are you okay? And my hand is like, ah, but it looks all bloody and I'm shaking. So I'm cold and I'm scared. And he's like, do you want my coat? And I was like, I do want your coat. Thank you.
I think I have a full visual of what you look like
Yeah,
on
I
this
mean,
day.
I looked pathetic. It was horrible. I was so scared. So I go to like this area where you see people jumping off the bridge, and
Mhm.
I like can't even look. I just keep looking back, like holy shit.
Mm.
And then they call my name, and I'm like, oh damn. And I still wasn't there. Still was not saying yes. I'm at the point of I will walk to the bridge.
Mhm.
That's where I was. I wasn't agreeing to anything. I signed it, but I'm going to the bridge. And I get to the bridge, and like the biggest joy happened. There was this girl. She sees me like teeter tottering as slow as possible getting to the bridge. And she's like, come here, honey. And I looked at her and I'm like, I'm so scared. Like that I couldn't say other words. That's all I could say.
Mhm.
And she's
Mhm.
like, honey, it's okay. Remember, you wanted to do this. And I like had to take that in. I'm like, she's right. I signed up for this. I did want to do this. And she's like, remember, you wanted to do this. But if you forget to believe in you, remember that I believe in you. And remember that
Mm.
you can do this and you wanted to do this. That's why you're here. Um, and it didn't take my fear away, but it really, really helped that somebody else believed in me, even though this was an absolute stranger, never seen
Mhm.
this girl in my life before. That push of encouragement just gave me more belief in myself.
I
And
love
I and
that.
this girl's name was Liberty. And that's like I held on to that. And that's literally what she gave me. She gave me the liberty and freedom to believe in myself when I just kept doubting myself and I never committed to doing this. So I sit down and they're like tying up my legs together with this pad. My heart is just going like this. My bloody knuckles are shaking. And they're like, okay, just come here. And they're like literally holding my hand because you're stuck. You can't move. Like you're hobbling along because your shins are tied together. So I get out onto the ledge and Liberty has to let me go because I'm going to two other people. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, holy fuck. So they're holding my hand and there's some people I know watching me and they look at me and they're screaming, you've got this, Ashley. And I'm trying to give them a pound. And with my bloody knuckles, I'm like pounding them from like 100 meters away. And the two girls are holding my hand, and I look at them each way, and they're like, "You've got this." And they said, "We're going to do a countdown. You jump when you're ready." And I just, at that point, I was like, "Okay, I'm going to do this for me."
Mm.
Um, and I closed my eyes, and everybody says just jump, but like I did not have the ability to jump. Like all I could muster was a lean. That was the most I could muster was a lean. So I go like this. I close my eyes and I just like go down. And most people like are like free diving, like
Yeah, yeah,
swan
yeah.
diving. Nope, I could not do that. Like
You
this
did
was
it
probably
in
like
your own way, though.
yeah, yeah. And this is probably like the wimpiest jump ever, but I did that
Did you
and
wait,
I could
did
yeah.
you jump when they got after, like, they finished counting, or did they finish counting and there was, like, pause, 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 and then you went,
I paused. I did it on
"Uh-huh,
my time. I
uh-huh."
did it on my time and I leaned. I did not like Superman that. I wimpy leaned, but I at the end of the day, I did it as I could possibly do it.
Yeah.
And I finally caught my breath and I screamed after like I bounced once because I was still like this. And then finally, after like three bounces, I look around and I open my eyes. And then you see me going like this. It's like, I
Oh,
finally did it. And
I
I like,
love that.
it celebrated me. And I didn't even know what was supposed to happen next. I just looked down and there's these two guys in a rescue boat and they have a pole and you had to hold the pole. But they don't tell you any of this.
Oh, that's so funny.
because they know your mind is just racing.
It's too many things. Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
those who are listening and not watching today, basically Ashley made her jump by just leaning forward and falling off is what it seems like. And she had her hands crossed across her chest and then eventually was able to put her hands in the air versus doing a beautiful Pocahontas swan dive into the water.
Yeah.
That's funny. So what were you telling yourself afterwards? Like, how did it feel?
I was so damn proud of myself. I
Hmm.
landed in the rescue boat and they're playing music in there. They're having fun.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was Spirit in the Sky. That was the song I
I
landed to.
love that.
And
Oh,
I was
hell
like,
yeah.
I'm that spirit. I just landed from the sky. I'm alive. And the one thing I forgot to mention that morning, my best friend's husband texted me and says, "Hey, Ash, I wanted to let you know a really good friend of mine was in line to go bungee jumping there.
Hmm.
And the person in front of him died."
Wow. That is so
So, so
scary.
that's going in my mind in the
Wow.
background. Um, but I was like, I did it. I did not die. I am here. And I raised my hands up once I finally landed in the safety boat. And I'm still tied together, so I can't really move all that much. And I just screamed, I can do anything, because that's
Yes.
just how I felt. And it just reminded me, like, all the hard shit in life, all that stuff that you just feel is absolutely insurmountable. Like, you can do it. You
Mhm.
can, you say yes, you take the baby steps, you accept the encouragement, you believe in yourself, and you celebrate you. And as long as you
Mm.
keep taking those steps, you can keep doing them.
Yeah.
And I just kept remembering, like, like literally 6 minutes ago, I didn't think I was going to do this. And I did this.
Mm.
And for 20 years, I've been telling myself I would never do this. And I did this. So it just
Mm.
made me think in the future. And I bring it back. I think about this whenever I've got something hard to do, whether it's for work, whether it's personal, whether it's volunteering. And it just feels like this is not going to happen. This can't happen. I think about my process for this jump. And even though it was a wimpy lean in, I did it and I got the same end result. And you've got to do it your way. But like, you can do things that are hard. And the more you do things that are hard, the more you can do things that are hard.
That is what it's all about. Proving it to yourself in the
Mm-hmm.
big ways and the small ways. And what,
Yeah.
as I'm listening to your story, what I love is you, I mean, yes, I agree. Your jump was pretty freaking wimpy, but who cares? Like,
I don't care.
who cares? You did it and you felt
Yeah.
the elation on the other side, and you proved to
Mm-hmm.
yourself that this is yet one more badass thing that you
Mm-hmm.
are capable of, right? Because when you first heard about it and you were first given the opportunity, it was a hard hell no, right? Like, why do you want
Mm-hmm.
to know my weight? Hell no, I don't want
Yeah.
to bungee jump. But then, right, you are someone who understands their own values, who understands authenticity, and who realized once you were there and experiencing the things that this would be an authentic activity for you to do in New Zealand
Mm-hmm.
because that was something you valued. I
Yeah.
think that's freaking so rad. I think about
Yeah.
the times in my own life that, like, I've made literal jumps and or have been somewhere, I'm watching someone make a jump and they don't make the jump
Mm-hmm.
because they just let fear get the best of them.
Yeah.
Like, I recall a time in in a very old life, I used to do obstacle course racing. And I did this
Okay.
one obstacle course race through an obstacle racing company called Spartan Race. They're on the more
Mm-hmm.
badass side versus Tough Mudders, more of like the fun, let's drink Budweiser and get muddy and run really far and help each other. Spartan's like, yo, I'm going to hold you back and I am going to win this race.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of that mentality. And I had done one of the longer races and we were on like obstacle number 20 something. And up until that point, like, I didn't know what the obstacles would be. And sometimes it was like hanging upside down on a rope and trying to climb across this rope across a pond. And if you fell into it, it was like really disgusting in the pond, to like
Mm-hmm.
more extreme things where you're like crawling through water and mud and there's electrical wires going over you. And if any of them touch you, they will literally electrocute you. To you
Oof.
get to a point where you jump into a big dumpster and you have to swim under and across and the whole thing's filled with ice. Like it was, you cannot feel anything. Like literally your eyeballs sink to the back of your head. But you get to a place where you have to make a jump. And they actually give you a wimpy option and a bigger option. It's something like 20 feet versus 41 feet. And I remember getting to that point and just being like, I'm just going to do the big jump. Why not? And like, it was one of those things where like, I didn't even give myself the chance to think about it. I just knew I wanted to finish the race. And a value for me would be like, just do your absolute best, no matter what it is. And I literally sprinted and ran off of that jump into the water and then just started swimming as hard as I could and like, didn't even think twice about it. But at the same time, like, I'm trying to think of how I would feel if I were you. Cause like in that moment, I would feel like the value would be being authentic to the place and experiencing the thing.
Yeah.
And like, wow, I don't know how I would feel if I would have known someone had died on that bungee jump. That might make me change my mind. Although I guess I did climb Mount Whitney the week after someone had died on that mountain. So maybe that's something about it. Okay, hold on. But let's fast forward for a second.
Okay.
Because you in that moment, right? I can do anything. Have you thought, it's been 5 months. Have you thought back to that moment over the last 5 months, and has it encouraged you to do anything in your everyday?
I'd say all the time. I lead a wild, beautiful life where I am traveling full time. So I've got my backpack. I sold everything I owned. My husband and I have nothing other than our clothing backpack, which is all summer clothing, which I was.
Hold on, we have to unpack that for 1 second. How did it feel shedding your life, your old life?
It was aggravating because I'm a memento keeper. I'm the daughter of a single mom. I grew up living very frugally. We didn't have a lot, but the things that we did have were really special to us or had a story.
Ooh, so, this is hard. They're no longer just possessions. They are objects that are a part of you.
Yeah. Like I still had a container of my 7th grade notes that I passed with friends. Like I had all the ex-boyfriends stuff. I had all my ex-boyfriend jewelry. I had all my gift cards. So, my husband and I were going through everything, just having to let go of everything.
Yeah.
And we either sold it, donated. I pawned all my ex-boyfriend jewelry.
Oh, of course, yeah. Especially the 7th grade stuff.
Yeah, I know. Got rid of just really everything. Donated what we
aggravating in the process, but how did it feel afterwards?
It hurt like hell letting go of things, but I negotiated with myself, kind of like the mini milestones. Like my most favorite collection are my records and my record player. I gave away the record player, and then I mailed my best friend all of my records because she also likes mess. I gave my other friend like my big Soli bean bag, and then I made a deal with her son, who's like my nephew in love, that he had to take care of Soli. So like I gave things away in a special way.
You gave important things at home.
Yeah,
you gave important things at home.
Yeah.
So when I shed my life, because I used to own a home in San Francisco, and I gave up that life when I decided to also shed myself of my ex-husband. And I just, it was like just pulling off a Band-Aid, but pulling off that Band-Aid required immediate and amazing healing and happiness on the other side. But I remember just, throwing things away left and right. But there were certain things where I was like, this has so much, whether like value to me or will be valuable to someone else, literally, that I was like, okay, these I will actually Uber over to Goodwill.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay. So you shed your belongings in 2020. And now tell me what your lifestyle now looks like.
Yeah. So you said, how did it feel? So it was aggravating doing all of that.
Yeah.
But
sorry.
literally by giving up everything I had, like I literally gained the world. I was living in this, in my little box in Cleveland, Ohio. And that was my world. And at the time we were living in the pandemic. We lived in an apartment that I couldn't open my windows. I didn't have a balcony. Like, we were stuck in a literal box, like so much of the world was. But then when we decided to let go of everything we owned, except I have a surprise for you. I kept
Ready?
my grandma's wine glasses, which are now stored at my mom's house.
Nice.
And I've
Oh,
got
lovely.
champagne with me since I'm a like
Yes.
the champs. So I'll take a little drink to that.
I cheers to that. Actually, a lot of people don't know why I drink champagne every day.
Tell me.
And for me, it's the meaning behind it. I have chosen to change my life, and I want to live a life that I want to cheers every single
Hmm.
day. And
Yeah,
so for me, drinking champagne on a daily basis is a celebration of the life that I've chosen to live now. And I
I
am
love that.
so proud of it. So cheers to you
Yeah.
on that. Yes,
Oh, cheers to you.
I'm glad that you saved those glasses.
Yes. And celebration is definitely one of a value core to me.
Hell
Uh,
yeah.
so I love that we have that in common. And one day we need to
Oh, it
champs
will happen. Yeah, it
very
will
soon.
happen. It will happen.
Yeah. So we gave up everything. We gained the world. I started traveling to learn more about safe travel. Being in the global events business, we exist when planes are flying and people are meeting,
That's
and that
not
wasn't
happening.
happening. So the only thing I could think to do when I was feeling hopeless and hopeless, and we literally lost every part of our business, was to understand what was happening from a
Mm.
safe event and safe travel perspective. So that's why we sold everything, packed backpacks, and started traveling, living in different countries, so I could then share and become an expert on how to host a safe event.
And you've
Because
literally been on the road since
yeah,
then. Actually,
yeah.
give me an example of a smattering of the places you've been over the last, I don't know, you
Oh,
choose.
we've
Couple
been
months, 5
so
months,
lucky.
6
Yeah.
months? Yeah, tell me where you been.
I've been in Argentina, Belize, Kenya, New Zealand for this. I just got back from Spain and Greece. So I I don't necessarily think like counting countries is a huge, it's not
Agree.
important to me, but I have over the course of the pandemic lived out of a backpack in 25 countries, and that's important to me because I've gotten to experience different cultures and different
Mm,
people and different customs and traditions and ways to celebrate, and all of, this concept of being a forever foreigner. um,
mm.
it gives me an opportunity to just open my mind and my world in so many ways. And as I shared before, one of my values is helping to ensure global events honor the destination and honor the people in a truly authentic way. Like, I have such a bigger concept of how to do that, and making sure that we do that in a really beautiful, kind, thoughtful, meaningful way. And this is what I love. And I've in living in these different places, like, I am neighbors with people. I'm not a traveler. I'm not a tourist. I try to learn as much of the language and the customs and interact with people as much as I can. And that is my joy. Like, I love learning about people and being their neighbor and learning new recipes. Um,
That is so
and
powerful. And hold on, one of the things I learned about you is that this is not the kind of life and lifestyle you had prior to making this jump. And so I'm so curious if you were to go back and tell the Ashley from 15, 10, 15, 20, however many years ago, that this is what you do now and this is the lifestyle you have, what would she say?
she'd say, absolutely not. The same way I said, I will not jump. I will not bungee jump, because I honestly did see how hard my family worked, and I didn't want to be in the business because they never slept. They never ate. Like,
Mm,
they had traveled around the world, but if you ask a lot of my family what they saw the airport and lobbies, because it
mm,
was constantly making sure the client had everything they needed. It wasn't getting to experience the destination. And I didn't want to live like that.
yeah,
And in my first career, I worked at a homeless services agency in DC for a decade,
it's powerful.
and I loved that work. Um, so I thought I would always stay in nonprofit, and that had to do with being raised by a single mom and
Hmm.
wanting to give back, because so much of my community growing up was my mom's friends, the local community, our family. Like, my world was everybody because they wanted to support my mom. So I was very lucky in that. But I know a lot of families don't have that support system. And I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that they did. And actually, looking back, having worked in homeless services for 10 years and now being this full-time traveler, like, this is the biggest experience in empathy, to understand a lot of what my former clients went through. And
Interesting.
I know it is absolutely different. I have all the privilege in the world to be able to choose to do this, and that's why it's totally different. But in similar ways, like, I remember we did a point in time count every year to uh, assess how many people were experiencing homelessness in the nation's
Mm,
capital, and we'd do it on the coldest night of the year. Did a real
mm,
count, like who was the most vulnerable. And I would talk with our clients, and you ask all these questions, and we'd always ask, "What's the hardest part of your life right now?" And
mm.
they would say, "It's being lonely." And
Wow.
it's not the cold, it's not the rain, it's being lonely. It's people not even recognizing me or looking at me in the eye. And
Mm,
not that I can understand what they're going through. I understand the feelings of loneliness being in this life. Um, and I also understand the power of looking someone in the eye. And that is, I think that's one of my superpowers when I'm living
mm,
as a forever foreigner. Like, every single person I look in the eye, I smile. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're not even looking at me, I smile. I say hello in that local language. And I feel like that is my shield, that
mm,
as in this life, you have to be as vulnerable as you are strong.
mm.
You have to accept and maybe take those wimpy lean ins every single day, because you are in somebody else's culture. You're in somebody else's backyard in their home, and you have to respect it, and you don't even know how to respect it yet. So my superpower is recognizing how important it is to recognize the dignity in somebody else and saying hello and looking at them in the eye and leaning in to accept that being vulnerable is being strong. And that's how, they're one and the same. And that's how you get welcomed into a community when you are an absolute outsider.
That is so powerful. I'm bringing this back to your story of your bungee jump, in which the stranger, Liberty, right? She believed in you. And in that
Mm-hmm.
moment, like one of the things that being a creator has taught me, because so much of my life is on social media and you can see
Mm-hmm.
everything that I'm doing all the time, is how badly others want to be, or just not others, everyone in life, just they want to be seen and acknowledged.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
you never know what small act, what thing you can do, a looking someone in the eye, a smile, a telling someone you believe in them. You never know what kind of small or very big impact you can have. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so important to do the things that are authentic to you and try to give back however you can in whatever ways feel good to you. And
Right.
I relate to what you're saying. Like there are so many times, whether, I don't know, in the cheesy lifestyle I live as sometimes a social media influencer, I try to shout people out, to
Mm-hmm.
small things like when I'm traveling, I often stay at hotels, and for me, recognizing every person within the hotel staff, no matter what their role is very
Yeah.
important to me. Or or even when I'm on the pickleball court, like smiling at people and just saying hello to everyone. Like
Right.
you never know what kind of joy you can bring someone's life.
Yeah.
And when it all comes down at the end of the day, like in my opinion, like a lot of people don't remember names, but they remember faces and they remember how you made them feel. They
Mm-hmm.
remember energy.
Yeah.
And that's really important to me.
Absolutely.
Giving everyone good
Absolutely.
energy. Ah,
I,
I love this story.
and
Okay,
I
hold
think,
on. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and
Go
I
ahead. Go
think
ahead.
that when you cheers people, like, that's an energy.
Mhm.
Like, the simple act. Like, I've lived in so many countries, thankfully, and the first word I learn next to hello and thank you is cheers,
Mm, mhm,
because people, it gives you a simple way to connect with someone.
mhm.
Whether the thank you, you mean it, whether you mean cheers as a thank you or as a nice to meet you or let's celebrate, like, cheers in every language, it connects people. It's like a verbal hug.
Yeah.
You can't be mad at somebody who says cheers to you.
Hell yeah.
Uh,
Facts. Facts. I love that. Yes. All right. I got one last question for you. Actually, I have two
Okay.
last questions for you. First
Okay.
question. Are you a badass? Why or why not? Answer it in any way that you feel fit.
Uh, am I a badass? I'd like to say, hell yeah, I'm a badass.
And why is that?
Um, but I would say, hell yeah, I'm a badass, but I believe everybody else can be a badass too. It's like, it's whatever your version of badassery is, like, you're that. And, as I said, it's like, I wimpy bungee jumped, but I bungee jumped, and that's all that matters. I bungee
Exactly.
leaned. I wimpy bungee leaned, but I did it.
Did it.
It's whatever version of badass you want to be. Like, own it, take it, be proud of yourself, celebrate it, cheers it, and keep doing more of it because it's just this roller coaster that the higher the height, like it doesn't even have to be heights, like the more you recognize you can do it and just keep on going and keep on doing it. Like when I said I can do anything when I landed, I said I can do anything, and so can you. Like it just made me want to encourage people more too. And the same thing of what you
Yes.
said earlier of like once we recognize we can do something, we want to be that support to others and encourage others. In the same way, like you are a badass drone pilot. You've proved to the world, like your videos, your stories through the drone are absolutely incredible. Like they
Oh,
don't compare. And I'm in global tourism. Like I've seen every drone shot on the planet. Like nothing compares to the
no.
videos and stories that you tell. And what do? You help train people on how to do the craft that you've mastered. You shout people out when you see that they're doing a great job and
Gotta
learning
give it back.
themselves. Like
Gotta
you give
give
it
it back.
back. Like
You
you do
give
that
it
every
back because
day.
it fills your own cup.
Yeah.
And then you can
Yeah.
keep cheersing people with that.
Exactly. Exactly. I was just in
Oh,
Greece and cheers in Greece is yamas.
yummy.
So yamas to you. My favorite other cheers, which is very hard and I say it wrong every time, is Hungarian. It's have you heard this cheers
No,
before?
I'm so ready
It's
to hear it.
okay. So if anybody's listening and they speak Hungarian, please send me a note and tell me how to say it better because I've tried it so many times. But the problem with learning cheers is that you're usually drinking, so it's really easy to forget how to say it. So it's Egészségére,
Oh,
and
how do you spell
so
that?
I have no idea. So anybody who's listening and you know how to say it better, send me a message so I can keep practicing it.
Oh my, oh wait, hold on. And
Egészségére.
yes, and on that note, tell us, where can people find you?
Oh, find me on my Instagram. I'm Ashley Rose on the road. And if you want tips on event planning or full time travel, that's often what I share. Um, I'm like, uh, I'm mostly interested in sharing stories that remind people that humanity all wants the same thing. And no matter where I go in the world, like I luckily get a lot of kindness.
Mm.
And even when I might be scared in a new place that it's totally different culture, different people, different language than where I am, as long as you treat people with respect, like oftentimes you do get that welcome embrace. And if you not respect and curiosity, like I always say, like before you go to judgment when you're traveling or you're in a situation that is new to you, like ask why or ask, tell me more. Because if you approach something with curiosity, you're automatically going to make a better friend.
Oh yeah.
And that's how you can start building your community when you are a forever foreigner or wherever you are. Um, so just remember cheers, learn cheers in that language and to lead with, curiosity.
I love that. And you can find Ashley and her website and more. Don't forget there's a full blog post that goes along with this, but all of that info is in the show notes for you. Thank you so much for doing this with
Yeah.
me.
And I wanted to do some show and tell. Guys, I don't know if you can see, but I usually like to get a t-shirt when I
Hold
do
on, let me
something really
just let me
hard.
just try to translate what I'm looking at. I think I'm looking at a pair of underwear, full butt
You
underwear
are.
that
Yeah.
says "Jump Me" on them.
Yeah. I got these after I leaned. So I should have one that says lean me.
I love that.
And I got my sweatshirt, my
Oh, you
AGA
did.
Hackett
Yeah.
bungee.
And she's
Yeah,
rocking it right now
yeah,
while sweating
yeah,
underneath that. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. Treat
Yes.
yourself to a t-shirt when you do something hard, you know?
Hashtag treat yourself. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I loved this conversation. It really is about those small chunking out milestones so that you can be successful to get to the big badass thing, whatever that might be for you. Right? It's all about those small badass moments. I found so much inspiration in today's episode. Cheers to you. Cheers to Ashley. Make sure you connect with her. Her info's in the show notes below. Connect with me. If you felt something today, oh my God, please share this with someone or tell us. DM us on whatever social platform you wanna. I'm at Christine Lozada everywhere. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget about the email list as well. And cheers to you. Go forth, be badass. We'll see you in the next adventure. And if someone hasn't told you today, I believe in you. Ciao.